Hello Hornby fans, and welcome to this live mid-year announcement from us here at Hornby. And today I'm joined by brand MD Martyn, welcome.
Hello.
And electronics engineer extraordinaire and model air enthusiast Chris Riley.
That's more like it.
Thanks
Hi.
for joining us. Yes, so welcome to our first live announcement. As we mentioned on social media, we're going to be running through a few mid-year announcements. So in a slightly different style to what we normally do. So I'll announce the product, and then you guys will talk a little bit about each one, and we've also got a few samples in front of us which I'm sure you can already see, but we'll get to exactly what they are in a moment. So first up we have R30352SS LNER W1 class 464 10,000 hush hush with steam generator. Now, the Class W1 number 10,000 Hush Hush is the next model to be treated to a steam generator, adding to the rise of modern locomotive innovation. This model is installed with a steam generator, which provides the ability to produce great clouds of vapour, which will billow through the locomotive's chimney and bring life and realism to your layout with this terrific model. So there you go, that's our first one, the Hush Hush, which is obviously something that we've had in the range for a few years now, but this time with steam generator. And Chris, you can tell us a little bit more about that. We have the model in front of us here. Yeah, tell us about steam generator for anyone that may not know.
So we've released currently the P2, which has got steam generator in. The P2, as we know, is a 3-cylinder loco. So development for the W1 has meant, because the W1 was in, I think it was 2 4-cylinder form, the sound file was different, so a little bit more research had to be done, obviously more playing around with the audio, but we learnt a lot from the technology used in the P2, and as such we've put a lot of, a few sort of tweaks and improvements into the steam chamber itself, and sort of keeping the water contained as well, far better in the W1, and actually the output I think is really good. We've used a smaller transducer as well, which is the disc that vaporises the water, making it more efficient. So, but the output's still excellent.
And how different is it, you know, from each locomotive? Now we've got maybe 3, 4.
Yeah. So the water chamber itself has to be custom designed based on the internals of the locomotive. So every single one of them is different. The Black 5, which we've got coming out at the end of the year. Again, that's completely different, but we're hoping that the transducer that will be used in the Black 5 will be the same as what's in the W1. We've learnt a lot from that. So every one of them is different. The fundamentals are the same in terms of the electronics, but how they're set up there's a lot of similarities.
And was there a particular reason, Martyn, why the W1 was included now?
Well, it's kind of one of those things. Which do you go with next? Obviously, there are certain restrictions. You know, we won't be able to, or at least at the moment, fit all that technology in every single locomotive. So, the order in which we work through them depends on a whole host of things. You know, what it will work with, what we think people will like, what we're producing at that particular time, as well. And you know, we obviously have a couple of W1 models to come, so it was kind of the right time to introduce the steam generator version of it, and steam generator's gone down so well. I think it was just after our January announcement that the P2 would have hit the shelves, and it's now all long gone since sold out, and we've had some really positive reviews on that, and people are enjoying something which is new to Hornby, and obviously adding another dynamic to model railways, especially the people that have this, you know, coming into sort of spring and now summer, people that have outdoor layouts and that, to be able to have steam generator outside, it looks absolutely amazing. Yeah. We have the Scotsman, of course, arriving in just over a week's time as well, so that's going to go down extremely well. I mean, the Scotsman, being the Flying Scotsman, the locomotive, what it is, was always going to be a high up the list contender for it, but you know, we will close the year out, and we should have delivered, or we will have delivered 4 steam generator models. So it's something very exciting, and yeah, there's more to come on that as well, I should think.
Nice. Yeah, we always sort of talk about steam, and I've seen it obviously in situ, and it does add such a different level to a layout than just in general. And I think when you see it, it's very impressive.
Yeah, coupled with the sound as well, and all the kind of the intricacies and timing, which kind of, I know Chris has worked hard on to get those sort of things right. It brings a whole new dimension to, well, definitely model trains when I was a kid anyway.
So there you go, the W1 Hush Hush 10,000 with steam generator, and do you know roughly when we could
Yeah,
see
we're,
this?
we're expecting that sort of just in time for Christmas. We're in a good place for that. Obviously, things can always change. You know, I will always say that, but that's what we're working to at the moment. So yeah, very exciting.
Brilliant. So up next, slightly different now, we have R60176A and R60177A. Drax Northern Powerhouse Biomass Wagon Pack. So we've got 2 wagon packs here. So the first one, as I say, R60176A. The Drax Biomass Wagon Pack, it consists of 2 bright blue Drax Northern Powerhouse liveried wagons with their respective running numbers 837-00698-071-3 and 837-00698-009-3. So it contains 2 biomass wagons with different decals as decoration on the livery compared to the pack, and that's R60177A. So for R60177A, this one also contains 2 bright blue Drax Northern Powerhouse liveried wagons with their respective running numbers, this time 837-00698-083-8 and 837-00698-15-8. There you go. I got through the numbers there. I could see on both sides.
That was really impressive.
I mean, that's like a phone number, isn't it? We have to thank our friends in Europe for those long numbers as well.
So there we go. So 4 Drax containers there in 2 train packs. What made you want to bring these ones in?
So we, as many will know, we've done the Drax wagons before, and they perform really, really well. And we had quite a lot of demand, you know, for us to do more. And of course, these things didn't actually run around in 2s or 4s. They often and normally always are in much bigger rakes. So it felt like the right time to do some additional essential running numbers. So for the people that have already got the first 4, there is the opportunity now to add another 4 to it to have a much more realistic rake. Obviously, to have a real realistic rake, you need a hell of a layout. Put it back out in the garden again for that. But they have real popular demand. And there's a bit of news coming up, which I sadly can't talk about, from from Drax themselves later this summer. So the timing is fitting for all of this, and more will be revealed on that.
There you go. Keep your eyes peeled on that one. So next up, we have it's the big one that you'll have seen now in front of us. It's the R30375 Railroad Grand Central HST pack. So starting with the HST pack first. So the Grand Central HST pack contains a power car with the running number 43465 and a dummy car with the running number 43484. Each locomotive sports the distinctive Grand Central black and orange striped livery with the iconic Grand Central logo emblazoned on the body sides. It has 2 nameplates, etched nameplates with the legend Peter Fox 1942 to 2011 Platform 5, and these are included in an accessory bag for the dummy car. But not only this, we also have, if you would like, a full rake of coaches available. So we have R40440 Railroad Grand Central Rail Mark III First Class Coach number 41206. We also have R40441 Railroad Grand Central Rail Mark III Trailer Standard Open number 42401. We also have R40442 Railroad Grand Central Rail Mark III Trailer Standard Open number 42402. And we also have R40443 Railroad Grand Central Rail Mark III TSD running number 42403. So, oh no, we've got another one as well. R40444 Railroad Grand Central Rail Mark III Buffet Coach 40424 TRSB. Well, there's a few coaches in there, which is great. As you can see in front of us, this is the full rake of coaches there, which, due to the size of the table that we're on, we couldn't actually fit the entire. We could fit the entire rake on, but we couldn't fit it in the camera. It's really impressive. I think I've always said, I think on the channel, that I really like black locomotives, and there's just something about not only that, the Grand Central logo on the side that has a certain quality to it. So what was the reason for choosing this one?
So firstly, I mean, I can't believe you forgot the buffet around lunchtime. That's all that's going through my mind at the moment. Railroad is a real important thing for Hornby, and I think the overall model rail market in kind of bringing people into it. where there are two main factors to it. Obviously, you've got the price points, and then you've also got the kind of the lower detail on these, which make them a bit more more handleable than sort of main range or high detailed items. And the great thing here is you can have a whole train essentially, so it is a realistic. A lot of other and earlier HSTs you'd be having to essentially go a lot longer, but these often run in this shorter format, and it is railroad, so that essentially means it's using, as many will know, what's known as the ex-Lima tooling, but it still is a really good model. And when you get up close to it, the kind of the curvature and the shapeage of it is really impressive. And how I wouldn't even want to begin to imagine how many kind of kids who aren't kids probably anymore, their model rail experience probably started out from having a Hornby HST set, and they're still very important to us now. And this is, as I say, this just gives a great opportunity to be able to build a whole realistic train for a layout. Someone wants to play trains.
And so I think I may have asked this before, but how do you choose what goes into that railroad range?
So obviously there's a lot of it's based on the castings, and then it's based on demand. Now often with train sets, for a younger audience, we try to make things which say are perhaps sort of relevant to what kids are seeing on the rails. Obviously kids aren't going to see a Grand Central HST on the rails now, but they will see other trains carrying this relatively or very similar to iconic Grand Central. So from a younger audience perspective, it's a modern image Grand Central train, which is for that kind of expectation is absolutely fine. And then for people who are perhaps more into model railways and wanting to kind of play trains, it's it ran for many years, so it has a historical significance as well for quite a stretch of the country. But we're lucky with something like the HST that there are many kind of different liveries that you can do, and as we have done over the years to appeal to different people in different parts of the country. And
do you have to make a decision on whether you have the full rake or whether is it we're always going to do a full rake? Or
well, no, I mean often what we've done, of course, you've had your drive and dummy car, and then you've had all the relevant coaches to do a separate. And if you're working in BR Blue, the rake needs to be, and to have the right running numbers, has to be longer. So we haven't always been able to do that in railroad, and we've taken a bit more of a mentality of, rather than sort of focusing on the amount of different running numbers, just having the key thing: have you got first class, have you got buffet, to make what could be a realistic train. The great thing here is that from a running numbers perspective, for those people that want that extra detail and accuracy, it is correct.
Brilliant. And so lastly, we have another addition to the railroad range, which is R60267, a railroad Procore PVA van. The model features a PVA curtain-sided van with the side featuring a blue Procore livery, and the running number is PR6934, and is modelled as the prototype was on in Ingham Docks in 1986, and it incorporates fixed tension couplings for easier coupling to other locomotives and rolling stock. So obviously we're talking there about railroad, so this is another addition to railroad, and I know you spoke quite a lot in interviews about railroad and how you want to expand that range. Is there a particular reason why you feel railroad is something that
I think we kind of need it, in where we are from a financial standpoint, which affects a lot of homes, especially homes with children. If they've got an interest in trains and want to get into playing with trains, call it model rail if you want to call it that, then it has to be as affordable as possible. It has to be obtainable, and that's where railroad delivers. And very often, people even sort of beyond that younger audience, they don't always necessarily want really high detail. They just want to drive trains around. They want to move, and that's where railroad also fits in really well. You can add, essentially for less money, you can add more things onto a layout. So I think it's a really key part of the hobby. I mean, I am really pro the high detail stuff. I think it's really amazing, and you see it from a lot of manufacturers. We're just always going up and up and up in that, and it's brilliant. But that's great for people that are already on the journey, but for the people just joining, they're kind of having to sort of jump in straight up there. And then some people as well, in our audiences, and we hear this and that, from a handling perspective, like quite often it's very easy to break high detailed, and so to have things which are kind of more of that railroad level, that works better for people as well. So I think there is definitely a place for kind of both of these ranges, and they do very different things.
And for those of you who don't know at home, Chris, you are part of a model railway club.
Yes.
So when you're obviously running trains a lot over and over again, is something like a railroad a good thing to have in case you don't want to sort of burn out the
It's
fire?
interesting actually you say that, because my first set back in 1980, whatever it was an HST, and I absolutely loved it, and it's what got me into the hobby. And it's interesting because you say at the club, we've got quite a few of our junior members have got railroad products, because for them it was an easy and natural progression into the hobby. So I've seen that there is that key element of introducing them to the hobby, into the railroad items, because they're not as detailed, they are slightly cheaper, and obviously they take more, you can handle them easy without bits breaking off. So it makes it more affordable for them, and like Martyn said, they just like running trains.
Yeah.
So for them, they don't need high-end stuff, so it's great.
Yeah, I guess it's difficult if you've got a very high detailed loco and you want to run it, and kid comes along and you're like, oh, I want them to play with it, but at the same time,
Yes.
I don't want all those really detailed parts being broken. So I think that's, I should assume that's where railroad kind of comes into that.
Definitely, and there's a kind of, in relation to the overall announcement today, there's a timing thing here. These things are all coming in on the run up to Christmas. Yeah. So if someone's already got a train set, you've got these nice additions, or if it's something that they want to spend their money on post-Christmas, because there's a lot of people now that they get to choose their own presents post-Christmas, then the items are there. They're even out at retail, and they're ready for that. So I think it's very, very exciting.
So all these items we're looking at.
Yeah. So the Drax wagons and the Procol wagon will be sort of summertime, probably sort of very late August into September. The Grand Central trains, HST, so that's the driving dummy and the coaches, probably around about the same time. And then the W1 comes later. That's, as I mentioned earlier, it's right on top of Christmas. Sorry, the Drax wagons, actually, they're actually a bit later. They're not summer, they're sort of mid-autumn at the moment. I mean, these are always subject to ships diverting places and all the other interesting things that happen in our world that make things easier or harder.
But it does continue that trend that again you've spoken about before of, we don't want to be announcing things years in advance or anything like that. You want to kind of make sure that when we're announcing these things that
you're exactly right, and that's what I had said before. I know to some people that have tuned in before is that is our objective, is to be able to bring products out in a reasonable amount of time from announcing, or at least try to when we know we can. And if we hadn't have made that decision to do that, we could be sitting here with an announcement which is 2 or 3 times the size, with 1 or 2 new tools in there. But we're really, really trying hard to be saying, well, actually, if we've got a lot of projects that we're working on, but if it's anything under 6 months away, let's hold it back. Let's be able to sit here and you see the decorated versions in front of you. So over time, things will change. And also, this, of course, is our first sort of mid-year announcement in this guise for Hornby. So we also felt that we didn't necessarily want to go in sort of too kind of heavy with things and keep it at a manageable amount. So let's see what the future holds as well. And
you also handed me something just before we went on that was hot off the presses, which was we've got some new sound profiles for HMDCC available from, it says 1 p.m. I'm not sure what the time is right now, but 1 p.m. So we have, for anyone who's interested, available sound profiles coming today. SD005 is the SKU, class 91. We also have SD027, which is class 423 for VEP, and SD070 Mark IV DVT. And we've also got some HMDCC updates as well. We've added French, German, Spanish and Italian languages. We've added more function icons for new sound profiles, made decoder selections more comprehensive, and we fixed minor bugs. So you are our sound guru, dare I say, Chris here. So you added some new ones there, and you've also been working through quite a few that we've already announced, and that hopefully will be coming soon. So how long does it sort of take roughly for you to? It
can take anywhere, if from raw recording, so going out recording from the locomotive, it can take anywhere between sort of 1 and 2 months before you've got a finished project. And the 91 I actually started back in February, March time. So it's been that with the VEP and the Mark IV DVT are actually the first sole electric projects that we've done. So there's been quite a lot of development, a bit of a learning curve with it as well. But I'm actually really impressed with myself with the projects as they've come out. So I hope that users will be too.
So what do you have to do from, you go and you record that raw recording of the loco? What do you have to do to that file, to that sound between then and...
From the raw recording, once we get the raw recordings back, download it all onto the computer, analyse the sound files that we've got, and then from that point we chop them up and edit the sound files into usable sound files and formats. So we've then got edited sound files, and then from there we go in and look at how those sound files will compile and then eventually build the project. And then I'll start to compile the project, running through how obviously our decoder works and build the audio files in accordingly for our development team in China to then develop the firmware on the decoder to be able to run that sound profile. And then from there they'll send an audio build back for us to test, which we will continue to do. We can then make audio adjustments on the fly, which I can do from the PC, make all the audio adjustments, send the final build back to China. They will then do a final compilation and a final build, send it back for further testing, and then if there's no bugs, no issues, then it will be released.
Wow. So that's what I mean. Most people would think, oh, you just go and you record it and
just
then
put it on a decoder.
Yeah.
That's what I get told a lot. Oh, you just put sounds on it. No, no. You don't put sounds on a decoder.
The same feel, the same. You might have different things that are coming in. I don't know. I'll say a bird comes in.
That's right. Well, actually, certainly with the 91 and the DVT, there's some advanced functionality which we've not used before. So, like a toggle sound function, whereby I think it's on F8. When you enable it, you'll get the sound of the sliding doors opening, and then when you disable it, they'll shut. So you'll get the closing door sounds, and it'll get both ends. So there's little sort of features and functionality within there that we've developed for these projects. So.
And is there anything you're working on currently that you can talk about?
Well, what's on my desk at the moment? The Class 800, actually, we're going through. We've got a working running sample, which we are rebuilding audio for. And in development at the moment, we've got the APT, which we are hoping to have an audio build for in the coming weeks. The B17 streamlined again, I've got a build for that to be able to test, and we're hoping within the next month that will be ready. So we're working on quite a few different projects at different times. So.
And is there any sort of, how do you decide which ones you're going to add again? A bit like I was saying earlier about how do you decide which locos? Is there a kind of format of we're going to go?
Well, we kind of, as Martyn's pointed out, we kind of look and see what's in the line plan for the year, and then sort of the most common models or the most models that we've got in the range, and then kind of decipher and think, well, that's actually popular. We'll do a sound profile for that, or actually we've got this model coming out mid-year. It'd be nice to get a sound profile ready for when the model comes out. So it's kind of all governed by new releases and the models that are most popular in the current market.
Brilliant. So we want to answer some questions from you at home, so get your questions in the chat as well. So I'm going to open my laptop and have a little look. Nate's going to put some on the screen, but I wanted to sort of ask if there's anything you want to talk about TT as well. See, a lot of people at home will be double loaded, and maybe some people that would like to know a little bit about TT. So we've had some nice releases recently.
We have, yeah. It's been a very exciting sort of few weeks, especially for TT with the Class 50, and then now the Duchess or the first of the Duchesses is now out as well, and I know that's in being trialled in a lot of homes as we speak. So I've seen a lot of the videos on social media. We've had a really, really positive response to those. Really, really positive actually. I think again on what I've read at least, I think it's perhaps gone beyond a few people's expectations. I think with the Class 50 there was a lot of people waiting for that one particularly as well, and then pipeline as well. I think it's next week. I think I can say that we have the next two Duchesses coming out as well, and the coaches to go with them as well. So there's actually it's a pretty busy time from a release perspective on TT, and of course more to come. We've got decorated running samples now of the 66s, and they look amazing. Nice. Absolutely amazing. So it's really, really exciting times, and there just seems to be more noise and interest around the whole thing growing. So yeah, all good.
So Mick Wilson has asked, what about the Flying Scotsman with steam? When is that coming out? Which you mentioned earlier, but
That should be hitting the shelves sometime next week. It depends what shelf you may have ordered it from, to how quickly. But I believe it's docked. If it hasn't docked, it's only a matter of days away, and we'll be turning those around and getting them out the door. So yeah, you should. That's assuming you got it on pre-order. But that'll be next week. You should see that.
brilliant. There you go, Mick. If you've got it on pre-order, it will be winging its way to you very, very soon. Who else we got? We've got lots of questions coming in here. Just so you know, I'm waiting for the question to come up on the screen so I can see it. Nathan's behind the camera as well. So Shredder lives on. Why do Hornby not supply at least one passenger coach with the HST train packs? Any particular reason why?
I mean, we could do, of course. What coach would it be? I suppose it should probably be a standard, but it's all to do with kind of a price point perspective. Then we give people. Not everyone necessarily wants to put Grand Central coaches in between those. It's not always the same. I mean, of course, in real life, that's how it would be. Some people may already have some Grand Central Mark IIIs, and they just needed or wanted a new driving dummy car. So it's to offer flexibility.
Brilliant. Richard Swiderski asked, when will the APT sound file be ready?
That is, I think it's Q3, possibly. Q3, Q4, I can't remember.
Which, for anyone who doesn't know, Q3 would be...
So you're looking...
late summer into early autumn.
I would say late summer. Late summer.
Brilliant.
If we have one, of course. Yeah.
Of course.
If it doesn't start, then we're...
Brilliant. Keep those questions coming in, everyone. Apparently my microphone's lower than everyone else's, which is probably because people don't want to hear me as much as these two guys, but I'll try and talk a little bit louder. Jack Goodall asked, when can we expect to hear about new tooling 00 gauge products in development?
So there are several things in development, and just going back to what we were sort of mentioning earlier, is that we are avoiding announcing things until they are much closer to release.
Yep.
So really, if we're kind of, I say 6 months. There's a bit of fluidity around that, so we don't really want to announce it unless we think we're going to be able to deliver it in that 6, maybe 9 as a max. That's what we're working to. We've kind of just had too many projects in recent years where we've gone into sort of 12, 18, even 24 months and beyond, and we just want to sort of come away from that. So there is stuff coming along. Carl's team are working hard on a number of projects. So there's exciting stuff around the corner from a new tool perspective. Yeah.
And obviously, if anyone doesn't know, there's a blog on our website, Engine Shed, which does sort of detail some of the developments as well. So recently, the Coronation coaches, which is something we're just going to have a question about that anyway. But we had some shots of that. Where it is. So Jamie Waldy 1992 asks, any updates on the release date for the LNR Coronation coaches yet, please?
We are, so we as you alluded to from the blog perspective, we have some decoration samples in which are pretty much there now. We're very, very close. Obviously it's a very intricate model to get right, so we're looking probably around autumn time for that.
Yeah.
Which we're tracking to, yeah.
Yeah, it looks great. I mean, I got a chance to photograph it and things like that, and there's some of the detail inside is really impressive. The chairs, particularly.
Yeah.
The pattern on those is something I've not seen before.
It'd be worth the wait.
Yeah. Train Time 2005 asks, steam generator on its own? Question mark?
It's difficult then, because the models have to be modified in order to fit the steam generators in. So to be able to provide a steam generator off the shelf as a sole item would be very difficult to do, really, and not really conducive.
I think as well, if you think of if something like that, which essentially contains a liquid, gets installed incorrectly, then you can also have a whole host of problems. So as Chris says, I think it's something at the moment we'd see is very unlikely, I'm afraid.
So Kaimaru Rails, I don't think I pronounced that right, asked, any updates on locomotion?
Yes, so we have and again I can't remember if it was in this blog or which blog it was actually in, but that we have a decorated running sample which looks absolutely amazing. So we're on track to see that this year, which is great, but it is going to be towards the back end of the year. Obviously very intricate model to build. But yeah, that's progressing very, very nicely. You know, we obviously announced that in January. I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me correctly, and it's not that good often. We kind of put it down as a Q4, so that's October to December time, and we're still tracking towards that as well.
Spares or Repair asks, how is the Deltic prototype progressing?
It's coming along. I'm not going to lie, it is a slower process, and has been from a development perspective to get it kind of right. We're still. I don't think we'll see it this calendar year. I don't think we will at the moment, the way things are tracking. Things can always change, and sometimes things can kind of pick up pace on things, but that's kind of where we're sitting now, but it's a project that is still being worked on. More so actually in the factories than that by us at the moment, and getting the tooling exactly right.
There you go. So it's still a little whiles away, but I mean it's an impressive locomotive anyway in general. So I can see why it's taking a little longer to get right.
It's big, yeah, in many ways.
So let's pick on here. I've got Breezer 707. Hi, any news on the Merchant Navy class?
Which one?
Yeah,
so there are a number of them. So we'd have to probably come back to you on that to know specifically which one.
There you go, Breezer 707. Just let us know which Merchant Navy class you mean. Harpreet Singh asks, is the Flying Scotsman with steam coming in TT 120 also?
I would love it if it could. We haven't quite worked out if, how, or possible at all we'd be putting steam generator into TT, but believe me, if we find a way, we will.
Yeah. It's, I can imagine that's the next kind of.
Yeah, I mean, we've only, here we are sat in June, we only had our first 00 products out just over 4 months ago. So, and now, you know, as Chris alluded to earlier, the technology inside is so the technology changes from each, but from a tooling perspective, there's quite a lot of differences inside to accommodate this. So we're now actually sort of finding our way through 00. Whether it can be done in TT, who knows?
Who knows? Wait and see. Never say never. That's
yeah.
IC225 asks, is there going to be Hornby polo shirt merch? So
I
think they're quite impressive.
They are, aren't they? I mean, I think, you know, I'm definitely not going to say it's due to the models, or definitely not in my case. But could they be available? But the only thing is, if we make them available as merch, then it will mean that people may get accosted as being Hornby.
Yeah.
One thing I did realise, I was actually going through. I was going through London earlier in the weeks, and you do get some different. And I was wearing it because I was going to something that was going on video, which I can't say too much about at the moment. But anyway, you do get a different, like, especially going through railway stations.
Oh, really?
You get a lot of people looking at it. Yeah.
Really?
So
there you go.
yeah, you get a lot more of a willingness from rail staff to kind of let you through and things like that. Yeah, definitely. It's got its perks.
I guess in general, if you know, if you guys wanted merchandise in general, that's for you to decide. I suppose it's about the demand, isn't it? You know,
it is.
Rather than just us all wearing it around the office.
Yeah, for sure.
Tapathy, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Tapathy. Hi, are there any plans for a HM7000 profile for a tank engine like a Ginty?
I don't think it's currently on my line plan, certainly for this year. But again, a bit like the steam generator for TT, we never say never, and it will depend upon demand and what models are in the range, I guess.
Brilliant.
And the fit, I guess.
And the fit. Could be a bit tricky.
Train Time 2005. Any news on the Ruston 88DS in BR Green?
We are tracking to quite late in the year for that one, I believe. Yeah, off the top of my head, but yeah, I think it's going to be late.
Another one from Shredder lives on. Are there any plans to include accessories in sets to make them more interactive than just watching the train go around the oval? Say a crane in a good set like Lima used to do.
I think that's a kind of a absolutely cracking idea, and I think anything like that from a play factor can bring to it, I think would be great. And I mean, if you, as many will see, if you look back in old Hornby catalogues, you used to see a lot more kind of things like that, which brought more sort of play factor, and over the years, probably mainly due to cost and reasons, it's kind of been pulled away to hit price points. So to be able to add anything like that back in, I think would be really good. So I think it's a cracking idea. Is it on the table right this second? No, but I definitely, that's it's not the first time I've heard that, and it's something which the kid in me says I'd really enjoy that. So yeah, maybe. And as we obviously have the Lima crane, which you can actually buy still, albeit Lima brand, obviously. Scaling wise it still works, so that there is that option there, but to have something actually in the set, so for that first off purchase, I think it's a good idea.
Brilliant. Dennis, Road Junction, do you know what the next loco sounds coming to the HM7000 app are? So you obviously got the ones we announced today, the Class 91, the Class 4234 Vet Mark 4 DVT. Do you know what the next one
The
might
next
be?
one after that would probably be the Class 800 and then the APT, I would think.
Class 800 and then APT, Dennis, Road Junction. Anknil said TT120 stuff is top notch. Love my Class 50.
I like that.
East Mellingford Railway TT120. Can we expect a TT release update later in the year?
Yes, there will be. We haven't actually put down a specific date, but we will look to do something later in the year. Based on kind of what our sort of next projects are. Obviously, I know in catalogue we've in the first catalogue we sort of had this list of projects we do, so it'd be good for us to be able to offer an update on where we're at with that and also what are coming. So yes, there will be more to come.
Mr. Matthews, I'm going to say the answer might be no to this. Can you confirm rumours that you're tooling up a Class 313?
I can't confirm that now, I'm afraid.
There you go. Stevie Grice asks, good afternoon, just joined TT120, any timescales for point motors and turntables?
Great request about that. Not in the, at least not from Hornby in the near future. I mean, point motors, you can use certain 00 products on TT, so that there is an option there depending on which one it is you want. From a turntable perspective, that is something which we have actually discussed, but it's not in tooling yet, so it will be a while before that comes through, and it perhaps it won't come through from Hornby first, maybe.
Model Loco asked, any news on HMDCC app updates coming soon? So today we had updates for the app. We added French, German, Spanish and Italian, added more function icons for new sound profiles, made decoder selection more comprehensive, and we've fixed some minor bugs. VR Densha Otaku asked, has Hornby ever considered doing N-scale? I reckon it would do nicely seeing Hornby take on N-scale.
I mean, probably not. With all the work that we're doing on TT, and the N-scale market is obviously kind of quite developed and down the line. We do have N-scale products in our family, albeit in Europe via Arnold. But no, there's no immediate plans to be going into N-scale.
Brilliant. So there are lots of questions coming in, but I am slightly aware of your time because you're a busy man. So I'll answer a few more. Let's make Drax TT120. Is it possible to view decorated samples at the Wonderworks Margate? So
when something is available, when anyone can buy it, then yes, they're in the shop there. We have the museum space in the Wonderworks, which I suppose could be an avenue to be putting sort of earlier samples in there. There are a couple of issues with that, and this is the reason why we haven't done it, is that very often with pre-production samples, something on them isn't quite right. So if we sort of show it here today or at a show, we can talk to people about it and we can explain that. It's very difficult to do that in the museum. You essentially need someone on hand all the time. And then for people that are perhaps not as close to what's going in the model railway market, not everyone comes there to see Hornby, they come to see other brands. Very often they go, well, I haven't seen that before, and then when's that coming out? And there comes a whole kind of other piece of not actually really being sure of what's out now and what's sort of marking a part of our history. So we one thing that we have done and could potentially happen in the future as well is where we might actually have open days or whatnot at the Wonderworks, and in that instance, if we had like a Hornby special almost, and that would be an avenue for it, and that may well happen in the future. So what I'd recommend to people is that if you sign up for our email newsletter and the blog, and that's where if anything like that's going to come off from an event perspective, that would be the place where you hear about it.
Brilliant. So a couple more questions. Harry Markham Chapman, any chance of integrating a Scalextric with model railways like Mimic motorways? Also any chance of doing 00 gauge size planes? Well, you did used to work on Scale Electric, so, you know, can you...
Yeah, well, and the planes are there, fixing corgi, yeah. Boring life story moment. So with the Mimic thing starting there, I mean, there are things on the market. You see a lot of it in Europe. It's a big thing with with vehicles running sort of on strips, but it appears they're running on road. I think that's something really exciting. I think it's good for a model railway layout for kind of, let's say, the more detail end of the market, and also I think it's quite fun for the younger end of the market. It's not something which is an imminent development for us, but we do see the value in the play factor element of it. Moving on to aeroplanes and 00, I mean, 00, 176, obviously we've got a lot of 176 scale aircraft across our corgi brands. That means they're all lovely, painted and decorated, ready for you. And then we also have Airfix model kits at 72 scale, sorry, not 76 scale. So they're already quite close. I don't think we would be producing aviation at 76. Interesting, obviously, military is a little bit different, you know, because military is modelled often is 76 scale is a popular scale. Again, we have die cast and we have plastic kit for that. But doing it as a Hornby thing and focusing into that military thing, that's probably a no for now.
Brilliant. And we've got our final question from Breezer707. The TT signals look amazing. Is there any chance you can make the same in 00 as they look better than the current ones?
That's a good point, isn't it? And that's that all comes down to, I suppose, something being designed in 2020 something versus 19 something. But yeah, I think there's an opportunity there to possibly look at doing those things in the future. We're conscious though a lot of the time, you know, what do we spend our time on, you know, and is it new locos or is it accessories? And the answer to that is to try and get a mix of all. But we're also really conscious that what else is actually available in the aftermarket. You know, some of these things are quite obtainable from more sort of smaller suppliers or suppliers that are supporting the model rail market.
So as I said, I'm very aware that you're both very busy, so I won't keep you too much longer. All the announcements from today, they are available on our website, hornby.com, right now, so you can go over there and have a look through. Thank you both for being here today. There were so many questions. I think, you know, we're going to have to try and do this a bit more regularly so we can answer so many different questions. Thank you to you at home for watching. Don't forget to subscribe in case we've got any more lives that you can chat and ask your questions away. So thank you for watching. Thank you, Martyn.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank
and
you.
We will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.